Hello and welcome to my video journal. I'm starting this journal because I want to build a new vegetable garden. I've had them in the past and they've kind of been sort of haphazard, thrown anywhere. And this year I want to make a really nice one that's nice to look at. So it's ornamental as well as functional. And it'll be the first time that I'm doing it. I've been talking about it for the 12 years that I've lived here, and this is the year that I'm going to do it. So, I would describe myself as an avid gardener. As far as skill level, I am fair. I'm certainly no expert, but I'm a gardening enthusiast, so I've learned a few things along the way. I volunteer down at the New York Botanical Gardens in the Bronx. I've taken classes down there, but most of my experience has just come from hands-on, getting out in the dirt and digging. And from visiting other people's gardens. I am a member of some gardening groups around, and we take field trips and look at professional gardens as well as just the regular old residential gardens, and it's surprising how much you learn. So, I want to talk a little bit about the area that I'll be gardening in. This is considered, surprisingly to me, I just double-checked it, we're considered now Zone 6. Now, an agricultural zone as designated by the USDA is how they divide up the country for gardeners into what plants survive in what areas. They're all set up, all chopped up. The whole country is into 10-degree zones. And this zone, when I moved here, I'm 30 minutes out of New York City, was closer to a zone 4 or 5, meaning it was colder. The designation of a zone is based on temperature changes. So, from the highest temperature in the summer to the lowest temperature in the winter, and what plants will survive in that. So for Zone 4, it's a little colder, but in 12 years, we're now a Zone 6. And while sometimes I don't think global warming is really happening, I gotta tell you, as a gardener, you see it. You see just winters that don't get as cold, plants that don't do as well, plants that you couldn't plant before, all of a sudden do well. So we definitely are warming up here on the East Coast. So I have to keep all that in consideration when I'm gardening. But as far as a vegetable garden goes, pretty much we have a nice long growing season, so we can plant just about anything. So my idea for this is to take this journal from right here, sitting in my kitchen on an afternoon in February, to all the way through to the end, where I will be harvesting fruit in, I guess, starting September, October. See how far it goes. If I get some good vines going and gourds going, I might be pulling gourds in November. We'll see. But this is where we're going to start with the ideas. Planning is half the fun. So I'm going to do a raised bed garden, fenced in, with ornamentals, pretty flowers, and some pretty vegetables, mixed in with regular old vegetables like tomatoes and cucumbers, things I've grown before. But I'd like to try something a little different this year too. So in a minute, we're going to go outside, look at the site, start getting an idea of what we're going to do, plan the location, and then next time, I'm going to show you the building material that I've already ordered, and I'm so excited about. My husband is probably not as excited as me because he's going to be my building buddy, but he's got time to get used to the idea. So come on outside with me, and I'll show you my yard, and we'll start there. Thanks. Welcome to my backyard. I'm going to show you the site I've chosen to start my garden, so let's go. As you can see, my yard has a slope to it, sort of off in a bunch of different directions. At some point it slopes more severely, so it was difficult choosing the right site to make a nice level garden, but I think I found the right place, so come on this way. This is my herb garden, which is a fun place to have it kind of raised up. The plants do well in it. They last long into the winter because it's not in the ground. So sometimes as late as Christmas, I might still be able to come out and get some oregano or thyme or parsley, whatever survived the first chill, because it's in a pot and not in the ground. When I first started gardening, I actually had this tiny little spot right here as my garden because it was the only place that I really got full sun. And because I was new to vegetable gardening, I started small. But sometimes the evolution of a garden is by the gardener's hand as they learn and grow, and sometimes it's by nature's hand. When I first moved here, my yard was so shady, and I always had to put everything that was sun-loving in this one spot. But as nature would have it, trees have fallen and the sunlight in the yard has changed a lot, so I have more options of where I can place things. So after I moved from this little spot, I just plopped it down where I thought I'd get sun. But it's kind of ugly, and I always wanted a really, really nice garden that was kind of big and inviting, but looked nice too. So my dream garden is going to be not only bigger, but it's going to be nice to look at because my patio is on the direct eye line of my garden. So let me show you what I had in mind. So that I could sit and look at it when I sat on my patio having an evening drink. But over the years, it's gotten kind of scraggly looking. So now what I'm going to do is use that space. I've cut back some more trees, and what I'm going to do is use that nice level space and plant a nice fenced-in raised garden. And it'll be complete with some things that look nice, as well as with a full garden, tomatoes, all the regular stuff. So you might be wondering, why am I talking about planting a garden in January in New York when it's cold and there's a storm coming? What is the point? Well, as most garden enthusiasts know, especially ones from this part of the country, you know that the real gardening season starts in January. That's when all the catalogs come, all of the juicy pictures of beautiful giant melons and lettuces and everything that gets a gardener's heart racing. So I'm taking this opportunity to really plan out my dream garden. And I just see it with beautiful purple tinged cabbages and beautiful bright light Swiss chard, all of the things that I'm going to need to start planning now and getting excited about. You'll all get to see when they really start coming to fruition in the summertime. Thank you.